The next advanced shooting mode is the manual or M mode. This mode gives you complete control of the camera. In manual mode, you will set both the shutter speed and aperture to create the exposure. To operate the camera in manual mode, rotate the mode dial to M and press the center control button. To set the shutter speed, rotate the control wheel. To set the aperture, rotate the control dial. To monitor the exposure on the LCD, you'll want to watch the number next to the small MM icon, which indicates how close the image is to proper exposure. Proper exposure is indicated by a ±0 value. You can choose just the right aperture and shutter speed combination for your scene, whether you want to freeze action or create a very shallow depth of field. Make the necessary adjustments to the aperture and shutter speed so that the exposure level indicator is near 0. Then press the shutter button halfway down to focus and the rest of the way down to take the picture. The next advanced shooting mode is memory recall. With this mode, you can register a bank of frequently used settings to one easy-to-recall mode. To register a bank of settings to the memory recall mode, you will first need to select each of the settings that you'd like to register. Choose the shooting mode, the exposure settings, the white balance, and even the image quality and size settings. Then press the menu button, navigate to the 7th recording menu, and select Memory. Here you can choose to register your selected settings to one of 3 different memory recall modes. Choose the memory recall mode number that you'd like your settings to be registered to, and press the center control button to confirm. When you're taking pictures and you'd like to quickly recall those settings, simply rotate the mode dial to memory recall and use the control wheel to choose the memory recall mode you'd like to use. Press the center control button to confirm your selection. In addition to aperture and shutter speed, the camera's ISO setting will have a significant impact on whether your images are properly exposed. The ISO setting affects the image sensor's sensitivity to light. The higher the number, the less light that is required to properly expose the image sensor. You can either have the camera automatically choose the sensitivity, or you can set it manually. Here's how to set the ISO on the A6000. Press the right side of the control wheel, which is also the ISO button, to bring up the ISO speed options on the camera's LCD monitor. Use the control wheel or the control dial to select the ISO setting you'd like. There is an auto ISO setting, and you can also choose from ISOs ranging from 100 to 25,600. It's a good idea to set the ISO speed to suit the ambient light setting that you're shooting in. When you increase the ISO speed, a higher number for low light, a faster shutter speed can be used to avoid blurry images. Keep in mind that a higher ISO setting may introduce noise or grain into your images. An ISO setting that is too high for the shooting conditions may make the image lose quality, and you might start to see particles in your pictures. Experiment with ISO settings to become more familiar with their range and control. Here's a guide that will help you have a basic idea of what ISO setting to use in various situations. When you're outdoors in full sun, use ISO 100 to 200. In the shade, on an overcast day, or indoors with lots of window light, use ISO 400. ISOs 800 and higher should be used indoors for action shots or in other low light conditions. To help keep digital noise to a minimum, the Sony a6000 has an impressive multi-frame noise reduction ISO option. To choose the ISO setting within multi-frame noise reduction, press the right side of the control wheel to view the ISO options. Scroll to the multi-frame noise reduction option and press the right side of the control wheel. Now simply use the top and bottom of the control wheel to select the ISO setting. When this option is used, the camera will take several shots at very high speed and combine them for a final image with significantly reduced noise. Note that it takes the camera a few moments to process the image. Now that we've discussed shooting modes and ISO settings, let's take a minute to talk about the a6000's drive modes. The drive modes determine when and how many times the shutter releases when the shutter button is pressed. To access the drive modes, press the left side of the control wheel, which is also the drive mode button. You can use the control wheel to select the drive mode you'd like. The first drive mode is single shooting. In this mode, the camera will take one picture each time the shutter button is pressed completely. The next drive mode is continuous shooting. When the camera is set to use this drive mode, the camera will continuously take pictures while the shutter button is held down. Press the sides of the control wheel to select high, mid, or low speed continuous. The next drive mode is the self-timer. The self-timer has options for 10 and 2 seconds. Press the side of the control wheel to choose between 10 and 2 seconds. When this drive mode is selected, the camera will take the picture either 10 seconds or 2 seconds after the shutter button is pressed completely. The next drive mode is continuous self-timer. With this drive mode, the camera will take the specified number of shots 10 seconds after the shutter button is pressed completely. You can press the sides of the control wheel to select either 3 or 5 shots. The next 4 drive modes are the camera's bracketing modes. Using these modes, you can take continuous bracketed images, single shot bracketed images, white balance bracketed images, and DRO bracketed images. Let's take a few moments to learn more about the options that are displayed on the camera's LCD monitor. Note that these settings may vary depending on the shooting mode that you have selected. In the graphic display, which is also the default screen, several important shooting settings are displayed on the bottom of the screen. First, the shutter speed and aperture are displayed, as well as the shutter speed and aperture indicators. The shutter speed and aperture indicators provide a visual guide to help you remember which aperture values and shutter speeds will provide specific results. Next, there is the exposure compensation indicator, the ISO setting, and the control dial indicators. At the top of the screen, there is the shooting mode, the memory card indicator, the number of still images that can be recorded on the memory card, the aspect ratio, the image size, the image quality, the movie recording mode, the NFC indicator, and the battery indicator. Pressing the top of the control wheel, also the display button, will allow you to view the shooting standby display. In addition to the icons that are displayed in the graphic display, you'll also see the focus mode, focus area, face detection, lock-on AF, metering mode, white balance setting, D-range setting, creative style, and the picture effect. Pressing the display button again will remove many of the icons from the screen. Pressing the display button again will activate the 4 viewfinder display, which will allow you to access many of the settings. Here you'll see the shooting mode and exposure scale, as well as the exposure or exposure compensation scale, depending on the mode that is selected. At the bottom of the screen, there is the histogram that shows the overall distribution of the tones in the scene. To access and make adjustments to any of the settings on the right side of the screen, press the function button. Use the top, bottom, and sides of the control wheel to choose the settings that you'd like to make adjustments to, and rotate the control wheel to make your selection. You can also press the center control button to view the options and make your selection. One of the biggest benefits to owning a Sony E-mount camera is the ability to shoot high-quality movies with the creativity offered by a large image sensor, interchangeable lenses, and convenience and portability of a small camera. The conveniently placed one-touch dedicated movie button means that you're always ready to shoot great movies. Hold the camera in both hands to stabilize your movie. Make sure the camera is switched to on and frame the image in the LCD. Press the dedicated movie button once to start recording. Notice the REC indicator on the LCD. This indicates that you are capturing video. Press the movie button again to stop recording. To view a movie that you have recorded on the LCD, simply press the playback button and use the control wheel to scroll to the movie you'd like to view. Then press the center control button to play the movie on the camera's LCD. To pause movie playback, press the center button again. Press the playback button to exit movie playback. It's helpful to understand a little about movie resolution and movie file formats before you start shooting movies. The movie image size and quality options are available in the camera's first and second recording menus. In the first recording menu, use the control wheel to select File Format. The A6000 has two movie recording formats to choose from, AVCHD and MP4. The AVCHD format records movies in full HD resolution, 1920 by 1080. You'll want to choose this format to record the highest resolution movies possible with your camera. AVCHD is an advanced video format ideal for archiving your video and burning to optical discs. You can burn AVCHD to a DVD in the AVCHD format or to a Blu-ray disc, both playable in full HD on a Blu-ray player. To choose the record setting, select the second recording menu and Record Setting. There are 5 different options. The other file format, MP4, is a good format to choose if you're going to be using the movie files for posting online or viewing on your computer. To choose the record setting, scroll to the second recording menu and select Record Setting. When the MP4 file format is selected, there are 2 different record settings, 1440 by 1080 and VGA. Choose the 1440 by 1080 option if movie quality is a priority, and choose the VGA option if keeping the file size small is a priority. To record sound during movie recording, the A6000 has a built-in microphone, which will record sound automatically by default. Take care not to cover the microphone during movie recording. If you'd like to turn off sound recording, you can do this through the camera's menu system. In the 7th recording menu, navigate to Audio Recording. Here you can select either on or off. As we've discussed, the Sony a6000 has a large LCD monitor where you can review images, adjust menu settings, and adjust shooting settings. Let's discuss the camera's playback options and displays now. To enter playback, simply press the playback button. The most recently recorded image or movie will be displayed on the LCD. You can use the sides of the control wheel to scroll through the image or movie files. To view additional files, press the bottom of the control wheel. Press the left side of the control wheel to navigate to the bar on the left side of the screen, and press the center control button to view the other folder options. By default, playback is set to the calendar view, which will display all of the images and movies in chronological order. You can also choose to view still images only, MP4 movies only, or AVCHD movies only. From any of the playback view options, you can view an image full screen on the LCD by pressing the center control button. You can also magnify images on the LCD monitor. This is especially useful when you want to check for good focus in detail areas of the photo. Press the AEL button to activate the zoom. You can rotate the control wheel to adjust the level of zoom. You can press the top, bottom, and sides of the control wheel to scroll to different areas of the image. To view other images at the same level of magnification, you can rotate the control dial. Press the menu button to resume normal playback. As you're scrolling through photos in the camera's playback, you may find some images that you'd like to protect from being accidentally erased. To protect images, enter the camera's menu system and select the Playback menu. Here, scroll to Protect and press the center control button to view the options. Here, choose Multiple Images. Now, all you need to do is scroll through the photos on the memory card. When you see an image that you'd like to protect, press the center control button to select the image. You can then continue scrolling through the images and select any others that you'd like to protect in the same way. When you're finished selecting images for protection, press the menu button, select OK, and press the center control button to confirm. Now, images that have been protected will have a small key icon displayed at the top of the screen. If you find a photo that didn't turn out, you can delete it from your memory card by pressing the Delete button. When the Delete dialog appears, select Delete and press the center button to confirm. Note that once an image is erased, it cannot be recovered. The A6000 has different playback displays that will each display different information about the image. Pressing the Playback button will take you to the default playback display, where you can view many important settings. At the top left corner, you'll see the memory card and the folder icon. Next, there is the folder number and file number, aspect ratio, image size, and quality. On the top right corner, you'll see the battery indicator. This is the NFC indicator. At the bottom of the screen, there is the date that the image was recorded, the time the image was recorded, and the file number out of the total number of images. Also at the bottom of the screen are the shooting settings that were used to record the image, including the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO setting. Pressing the display button will bring up the histogram display. Here you will see the same information at the top and bottom of the screen that was in the previous display. In addition to that information, you can see the shooting mode, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, exposure compensation, metering mode, focal length, creative style, white balance, and the dynamic range optimizer setting. If there are areas of the image that are too bright and lost detail, those areas of the image will blink in black. If there are areas that are too dark and have lost detail, those areas will blink in white. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the histograms for the whole image, the top histogram as well as histograms for each color channel. The histogram gives a basic idea of the tone distribution of an image. In most cases, a properly exposed photo will have data distributed over the whole graph. The final playback screen can be shown by pressing the display button again. This view is simply a full screen image. One of the most important principles for taking a great picture is image sharpness. Image sharpness is affected by several things, including lens focus, camera shake, depth of field, and digital noise. The Sony a6000 has a sophisticated autofocus system with a variety of autofocus modes and areas that, when used well together, will help you get great focus regardless of the type of subject you're photographing. Let's discuss the autofocus modes that are available on the a6000. Note that autofocus modes are available only when the camera is set to the P, A, S, or M shooting modes. To access the camera's autofocus modes, make sure that the shooting mode is set to P, A, S, or M, then press the function button, and use the control wheel to scroll to the AF mode. You can rotate the control wheel to choose the AF mode setting, or you can press the center button, use the top and bottom of the control wheel to make your selection, and press the center button to confirm. You can choose from AFS or single shot AF, AFA or automatic AF, AFC or continuous AF, and DMF or direct manual focus. When you're choosing the focus mode, the main thing that you'll want to think about is whether or not the subject is in motion. With each of the autofocus modes, you can focus by pressing the shutter button halfway down. When focus is achieved, the AF point that achieved focus will flash in green, and the focus indicator will appear at the bottom left corner of the LCD. The first focus mode is AFS, or single shot AF, and is best suited for stationary subjects. Choose this mode when you're photographing objects, or when you're doing portrait work with an older child or adult. The next option is automatic AF. In this mode, the focus mode automatically switches from single shot AF to continuous AF if the still subject starts moving. The AFC, or continuous AF mode, is best for shooting moving subjects and is for use when the focusing distance keeps changing. Use this mode when you're photographing sporting events, small children, or animals. While you hold the shutter button halfway, the subject will be focused continuously. The next option is DMF, or Direct Manual Focus. When DMF is selected, focus will be achieved using autofocus first, then you have the option to fine-tune using manual focus. In order to use this mode, press the shutter button halfway down to achieve autofocus. Then, while continuing to hold the shutter button halfway, adjust the manual focus ring on the lens with your free hand to make the manual focus adjustments. When the image is focused, simply press the shutter button the rest of the way down to take the picture. In addition to the camera's autofocus modes, you'll also want to be familiar with the autofocus areas. The autofocus areas can be changed when the camera is set to the P, A, S, or M shooting modes. To select an autofocus area, press the Function button and select the AF area setting. Rotate the control dial or control wheel to make your selection. First, there is Wide. This setting will automatically focus on a wider range of the screen. This is great for general use picture taking. Next, there is Zone. With this option, you will simply select one of the 3 zones of focus areas, and the camera will automatically select the focus area from that zone. Simply press the right and left sides of the control button to choose the zone. Then press the Center control button to confirm. The next focus area option is Center. When this option is selected, the camera will exclusively use the center AF point for focus. The last autofocus area is Flexible Spot. With Flexible Spot, you can choose exactly which part of the image you'd like the camera to focus on. This is useful when you want to direct the camera to focus on a specific area of the frame. You can also choose the size of the focus area in this mode. Using the sides of the control wheel, you can choose from large, medium, or small. After you've chosen Flexible Spot, press the Center control button to activate the AF area, and then press the top, bottom, and sides of the control wheel to move the focus area to the desired area of the frame. Let's first take a moment to discuss the A6000's unique Lock-On AF feature, which will keep focusing on a moving object while tracking it. To use Lock-On AF, press the Menu button and navigate to the 5th recording menu. Here, select Lock-On AF and On. Now, align the target frame with the subject to be tracked, and press the Center control button. As the subject moves, the target frame will continue to track it and maintain focus. Now, simply press the shutter button to take the picture. To cancel or resume using the Lock-On AF feature, press the Center control button. Note that Lock-On AF is especially useful for faces. If the face that is being tracked leaves the screen and then returns, the camera will resume focusing on that face. The Sony a6000 has a unique feature called Smile Shutter and Face Detection that will help you capture photos of people in sharp focus. These features can be accessed in the 5th recording menu. Here, scroll to Smile Face Detection. The first option is Face Detection Off, which will disable this feature. Next, there is Face Detection Registered Faces, which will give priority for focusing to faces that you have registered. Next, there is Face Detection On. With this option, the camera will simply detect and focus on any faces that are in the scene without giving priority to registered faces. To register a face for the Registered Faces option, enter the menu system and scroll to the 5th Custom Settings menu. Here, select Face Registration. Select New Registration. Now, fill the white frame with the face you'd like to register and press the shutter button completely to take the picture. When prompted, select Enter. Now that face will be given priority when you're using face detection with registered faces. Another useful feature when you're photographing people is Smile Shutter. With Smile Shutter, the camera will recognize a smiling face and take the picture, all without you pressing the shutter button. To use Smile Shutter, enter the 5th recording menu and select Smile Face Detection. Scroll to Smile Shutter Setting, which has 3 different options. You can use the sides of the control wheel to choose the level of smile you'd like the camera to recognize. You can choose from normal smile, big smile, or slight smile. Let's talk about some other considerations when you're trying to take crisp and sharp images. Sometimes a photo may have poor focus, but it's not related to the camera's focus mode or focus area mode. Camera shake happens when the camera moves while the shutter is open. This exposes the image sensor while the camera is moving and results in blurry images. Always try to steady the camera. Holding it with 2 hands and pressing the viewfinder gently against your face will help. You can also lean against something or use a tripod, a monopod, or even a beanbag to steady the camera. You can also reduce the effect of camera shake by selecting a fast shutter speed. This reduces the amount of time the image sensor is exposed to shaky conditions. A helpful rule of thumb is to set your shutter speed to 1 over the focal length. Confusing? Let me explain. If the focal length on your lens is 300 millimeters, for example, you should set your shutter speed to at least 1/300th of a second. If the focal length is 30 millimeters, you might be able to use a shutter speed as low as 1/30th of a second. Let's take a look at the A6000's sophisticated menu system. Note that depending on the shooting settings that are selected, different menu items may appear grayed out or unavailable. Many of these settings are discussed in greater detail in other chapters of this guide. We'll just look at an overview of the menu items in this chapter. The first menu items are the record